possible to wait 5 years. I would like to state here in front of you, my distinguished colleagues, that I plan to set foot on African soil at the earliest possible time. Let us dash forward together, hand in hand, towards a more dynamic Africa. The future of Africa is bright indeed, and yet the Africa that joins in partnership with Japan is brighter still. I will end my remarks this morning by reconfirming that with all of you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
The TICAD 5 meetings drew an overwhelming international presence from the United Nations agencies to closely related work groups from around the globe.
Many of us just attended the 50th anniversary of the African Union in Addis Ababa. This is an excellent timing to advance our goals. TICAD's goals are the United Nations goals. In that regard, I thank especially Prime Minister Abe for bringing us together to Japan. Japan is one of the strongest Africa's partners. In 2011, when the triple disaster hit Fukushima, the Japanese people stood firm for Africa during that crisis moment. That year, Japan gave the United Nations more than $1.5 billion for development activities, and I applaud this generosity and solidarity. Mesdames et Messieurs, l'ambiance était.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mood at the AU summit was optimistic. Africa is indeed on the rise. The continent's economic growth averages almost 6% per annum on average. By 2015, 7 of the world's top 10 fastest growing economies will be in Africa. For a number of years, the continent's trade have jumped to over $1 trillion.
Great progress on the Millennium Development Goals. Many African governments understand the value of investing in people, but millions of Africans still lack jobs, health care, and food. Too many suffer in conflicts. To find lasting solutions, we must address the links between peace, security, and the development. This was the goal of my recent trip to the Great Lake region, including DRC, with the President of the World Bank, Dr. Jim Yong Kim. We traveled together to emphasize that development is the foundation of the peace. That is true in Eastern Congo, across Africa, and around the world. TICAD is a call to action. I welcome the focus on solutions in the proposed outcome document of TICAD 5. We have good ideas for diversifying economies, developing infrastructures, and strengthening societies.
As this is indeed a time of great hope for Africa's peoples, the continent is home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, and levels of human development are rising very rapidly. Africa and the world are more connected than ever before through trade, investment, migration, information and communications technologies. The new Partnership for Africa's Development, launched by the African Union in 2001, has been a driving force for this transformation. Over the past 20 years too, TICAD has evolved to meet the changing needs and aspirations of Africa. That's been possible because of its commitment to African ownership of the process and to international partnerships. The African Union Commission's agreement to join TICAD as a co-organiser further enhances African ownership. TICAD began as a forum for dialogue and for advocacy for Africa. At TCAD 4, initiatives were launched on agriculture, infrastructure, governance, among other areas. These initiatives included the launch of the Coalition for African Rice Development, aiming to double rice production on the continent from 2008 over the next decade. The provision of safe drinking water to many millions of people. A partnership between Japan and my own organisation to support electoral processes. And then, for us, very significant, the Africa Adaptation Programme, which has provided support to 20 African countries to build resilience to the effects of climate change, and I think is a very good example of how TCAD can move to help address pressing challenges for Africa. Climate change is surely one of those, and a side event on that program will be held this afternoon. So, just as TCAD has evolved in the past to meet new needs and challenges, so it must again now. And I'm confident that the declaration and the action plan which will come from this TCAD in Yokohama will support inclusive growth and poverty reduction and sustainable development. The challenge for Africa now is to transform economies so that agriculture becomes more productive, manufacturing can flourish on that new industrial frontier, and high-value service industries can emerge. The investments in infrastructure are vital, and alongside them so are the investments in people, as fundamentally it is Africa's people and their skills and their talent which will drive the continent's development.
At our recent spring meetings, the World Bank Group pledged to work with countries to achieve two goals. First, we will join forces to end absolute poverty by 2030. But ending extreme poverty is not enough. We must also boost shared prosperity. We'll work with countries to nurture economic growth that favors the relatively disadvantaged in every society. We'll track progress by monitoring income growth among the poorest 40% of people in every country. These goals will keep us laser focused on results. Ending poverty and boosting shared prosperity will require vibrant economic growth. In turn, strong, inclusive growth demands progress in education, health, nutrition, and access to essential infrastructure. Africa will be at the heart of the effort to end poverty and boost shared prosperity.